talked a little bit about Julio Jones. It's really starting to sound more and more, and we're hearing reports of this, like the Browns are pretty content with their wide receiver room. You concerned with that at all?
I can see where some of the concern would come from because a lot of these guys aren't proven commodities. But if you just like break it down and look at the skill sets they've combined for the wide receiver room, you got Cooper, your do-it-all, de facto number one, solid production, kind of runs everything cleanly. You got DPJ, your classic X boundary guy, chunk play. Schwartz is your prerequisite speed guy. Now, that speed hasn't proven to be effective yet, but the speed is there. 4.27 doesn't grow on trees. You're bringing Bell into the mix, who kind of seems to be in more of a mold of the Cooper. He can kind of do it all, solid, dependable. We'll have to see how he hits the ground and how he can mesh with Desean. But I think he's your leading candidate to be a slot guy. And you got a fun gadget guy in Jakeem Grant. So if you look at the sum of everything, you have everything in-house that you need to be successful. It just has to prove itself. So I get the concern. But from a skill set perspective, I think they're well in order. And then you got a bunch of guys competing for that sixth spot. You got Javon Wims and Jamarcus Bradley, Michael Woods, who they drafted, and my favorite for the position, Isaiah Weston. I think, if one of those guys can emerge and prove to be that bottom of the roster guy, that's going to be hugely valuable going forward. And then one or two will end up making a practice squad. That's the way it always is.
The only, in where I was going with that, here, and maybe it's because I kind of watched this develop last year, if something happens and Amari Cooper misses 2, 3, 4, 5 games, that concerns me.
Yeah, that would be very concerning. Like I said, he's your de facto one. And we kind of seen how that played out when they lost their number one last year. They didn't really have that guy to threaten. So that's a genuine concern, But that's all rosters are fluid like that. You're always a bad injury or a surprise cut from another team from everything changing. And I know Barry will have his eyes to the wire if someone does come available that is price effective to bring them into this fold. I could see that happening. But as of right now, I could see where their mindset is going into camp.
The other thing is, do you think kind of part of the equation between Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski is Desean Watson is going to make Donovan Peoples-Jones a little bit better. He's going to make Anthony Schwartz a little bit better. Heck, he's going to make David Njoku a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And you go on down the line to the running backs as well and the other tight ends in the room. Like everyone is going to see a little bit of an easier path to getting the ball than they have in years past and being productive and being put in good positions to do so. So, yeah, it's going to get spread out all over the cast to make sure everything's effective. But the concerns are real, but depth's always like that in the NFL. You're always a bad injury away from things looking sunny to being gloomy as they can be.